Every night, Kern would buy a first-class plane ticket, but he never actually boarded any flights. Instead, he'd sit in the terminal watching sports games. Until today, when the TV host suddenly collapsed, followed by all the players falling to the ground as well. Kern stood up and said, "There's no time left," then quickly left the terminal. When he reached the boarding gate, he discovered armed personnel stationed all around. He immediately tackled Ryan, grabbed his weapon, and ran toward the tarmac. The passengers were terrified. Just as the flight attendant sensed danger and tried to close the cabin door, Kern jammed the gun card into the lock. The flight attendant pushed against the door with all her might, but Kern still managed to force his way in. Kern frantically told the flight attendant to close the door. He then rushed into the cockpit and pointed his gun at the pilot, demanding immediate takeoff. The pilot was so scared he could barely function, let alone fly the plane. Kern insisted harshly, "If we don't leave before sunrise, everyone will die." The pilot was dumbfounded. Just then, someone knocked on the door. As Kern turned his head, the gun accidentally discharged, hitting the pilot's palm. Kern, ignoring the pilot's injury, continued demanding takeoff. The pilot claimed he couldn't fly with just one hand, and the co-pilot was nowhere to be found. With no other choice, Kern returned to the cabin and asked if anyone knew how to fly a plane. The passengers ignored him, and Kern's heart sank. But then Elsa spoke up, saying she could fly. Feeling a surge of hope, Kern quickly brought her to the cockpit. The plane began to move, but the co-pilot hadn't boarded yet. Kern threatened the pilot not to stop. The pilot tried calling the tower for takeoff clearance but received no response. The communications equipment had been damaged by the bullet. Kern didn't care. The pilot found a flight attendant and told her to have the passengers secure themselves, then instructed Elsa to increase throttle. The plane lifted off the ground and headed west, toward where the sun sets. Once the flight stabilized, the pilot asked Kern what he meant by "sunrise means death." Apparently, the sun had undergone a mutation. Any living thing exposed to its light would die, even if hiding indoors.